How do you even identify that you're doing that thing you do that's keeping you from your alignment? Well, the first way to recognize that you're doing that thing you do that's keeping you from it is you feel negative emotion. And don't worry, if you don't notice the negative emotion and you keep doing that thing you do, the negative emotion will get more. And if you still ignore it, don't worry if you don't stop doing that thing you do, which is complaining, which is criticizing, which is pushing against, which is, you know what it is. If you still continue to do that thing you do that holds you in resistance to all that you are, it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger until eventually you have a manifestational indicator. And to be really accurate and fair with you, you constantly have manifestational indicators. What you're living, your life as it is right now, is a perfect manifested indicator of your mix of vibration. So the money in your bank account matches your mix. The condition of your body matches your mix. The clarity of your mind matches your mix. The people you're hanging around with match your mix. The way people treat you in traffic matches your mix of vibration. Everything that is happening to you is a perfect law of attraction response to what you've got going on vibrationally. So, do you get the angle that we're offering to you here today? If you could just hear us clearly and make a decision that you are going to do a little more ignoring reality as it is and a little more looking in the direction of the vibrational reality that you have launched. Talking more about where you're going and less about where you are. Talking more about what you want and why you want it and less about how it's going to come, where it's going to come from, who's going to bring it, and when it's going to get there. As you talk about who you really are and what you really want, you will find yourself hanging around in the vicinity of this vortex where you will finally be. And these are the words we want to ring through you forevermore. We want you to know that in your vortex of creation, where the larger part of you is, law of attraction responding to the vibration of you, all cooperative components are assembled. And the question that you want to ask yourself all day, every day is, am I a cooperative component? And the answer is, if you're frisky, yes. If you're exhilarated, yes. If you're loving someone, yes. If you're happy, yes. If you're ornery, no. If you're afraid, no, 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 no. If you're criticizing, no. If you're worried about money, no, 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 no. You have control of your relationship to the vortex. And it is our desire to use everything that we have to convince you, better word, to remind you, better word, to reawaken within you, better word, to restore you to your knowledge of the existence of this vortex, so that never again will you stand in an unwanted place and feel very much about it. Just say, oh, something to want. Esther was dusting. They brought home from a store. They talked the owner into selling them the display cabinets in a beautiful art store. And the display cabinets were beautiful. They were chrome and glass and gilded and fragile. They didn't realize that the shelves were sitting on posts, and the posts were stable, but the shelves had nothing to sustain them, front and back. And Esther, one day, took her dust cloth and just laid it on the top shelf. And as she barely moved the cloth, the big, heavy glass fell off its little posts and crashed to the shelf below it, which crashed to the shelf below it, which crashed to the shelf below it, and broke everything on the shelf. All of the Yadros and Sabinas and all the pretty things that they'd been gathering around. And Jerry heard the crash from the other room and said, don't move, don't move, don't move. Esther standing there in her bare feet with shards of glass actually stuck in the floor all around her. No glass in her feet. And Jerry came into the room and said, oh good, something to want. And he meant it. He meant it. He meant it. Because for weeks and months and years, Esther would see something pretty in a shop and Jerry would say, now where will you put it? And now Esther is saying, now I have a place for many new things. And we want you to understand, frivolous and unimportant as that story may seem to you, that is the spirit with which you come into this experience, because life is about expansion and expansion is about more. And it is only when the larger part of you is expanded and you haven't let the rest of you catch up with it that you feel discord or discomfort. So what happens as you live your life just like you knew you would? The contrast helps you to do step one. Step one causes you to ask, and you do it all day, every day. You cannot turn that asking off. The entire universe is established to provide for you and everyone else you know this opportunity to continue to expand and evolve, even if you are a one-celled organism. So you're asking. And Source is not just answering. Source is literally becoming the vibrational equivalent of what you are asking for. And because the inner being within you, the Source within you, gives undivided attention to the new and improved expansion that you've carved out of your leading edge life experience, when you focus on the opposite of what you have now asked for, let's say it a better way, when you focus upon the opposite of what you have evolved to, do you get it? Do you get that life caused you to ask and the larger part of you evolved to a new vibrational stance? And when you don't go, you don't feel good. That's what that separation, that's what negative emotion is. That's what the tug of war within you often is. In other words, the larger part of you went someplace that the physical part of you is holding out on. When you feel frisky, you went. When you feel exhilaration, you went. When you are in love, you're there. In other words, this is a vibrational vortex of attraction. And the better you feel, the closer to the vortex you are. And when you feel wonderful, you're in this vortex. Now, the benefit of being a vibrational match to what's in the vortex is you now have clear sight. You know what to do. Your impulses are right on key. Your timing's good. You feel exhilaration. The words that flow forth from you are accurate and on point every single time. When you're in the vortex, you're tuned in, tapped in, turned on. When you're in the vortex, you're all that life has caused you to become. And that's really, really a lot. Because you were a great deal before you came into this body, and being here, you've become more still. You are source energy in physical bodies. And when you're complaining, you're not letting yourself be it. So, when you come to realize that you are source and that you didn't come ever to get it all done, you came for the joyous expansion. You came for the opportunity to explore contrast and to give birth to new ideas. And then it was your absolute intention, once you gave birth to another rocket of desire, to turn as the source within you does and give your undivided attention to the new idea. You did not intend to look back at the contrast that caused you to ask in order to justify the asking by pointing out how bad it was. And yet in your physical form, you've made an art of that. You often are justifying or rationalizing or defending. I need it because I don't have it. It's not fair. And whenever you feel those emotions that feel like injustice or unfairness, whenever you feel those emotions that feel like fear or worry, whenever you feel those emotions that feel like doubt, whenever you feel depressed, whenever you feel discouraged, whenever you feel anger, whenever you feel overwhelmed or frustration, whenever you feel those negative emotions, what it means is life has caused you to expand. The larger part of you did, but you're still beating the drum of what caused the expansion, and you're not up to speed, and therefore not in the vortex, and therefore not a cooperative component to what you've asked for. And in order for the manifestations to occur in your life experience, you've got to be in the vortex. You've got to be up to speed with what you're asking for. And here's the thing that we really want you to understand. In this vortex of creation, where the larger part of you dwells, where law of attraction is assembling all cooperative components, that is the key reference for you to take away from this gathering. All cooperative components have already been assembled for the manifesting of all things that you are asking for. But the question that we want you to become aware of as you're here in this workshop today. We want you to ask yourself, am I, in my physical form, a cooperative component? And the answer is often you're the only uncooperative component. Because you're still beating the drum of I don't have enough, I don't have enough, I don't have enough. And you know why that is? Because your awareness of your reality has your nearly undivided attention. You're so busy looking at what is that you've forgotten that what is was only and is only and will only ever be the bouncing off place for this vortex of creation where all things are happening. We have enjoyed this interaction more than words can convey. It is exhilarating to come together with the likes of you who are out here exploring the contrast. It is our desire to impart to you our appreciation of your important part and to shine a bright light on what you've managed to create, which is present tense for us and only slightly future tense for you. It has been satisfying to feel you resonating with the vibrational concepts of the vortex. And it is pleasing to us that you are more awakened to your individual awareness of your proximity to who you really are. If you heard nothing from us at all, like you've heard today, but if you had heard from your grandmother that it's always best to think thoughts that please you, you would still know everything that is important to you. We make too much of this, really we do. But mostly as we try to figure out all that stuff that's outside the vortex. Because when you get into vibrational alignment with who you really are, then everything that you are begins to take on a new light. You begin to remember the bigness of who you are, and even more, the worthiness and the rightness of who you are. And along with that comes appreciation, not only for who you are, but for who others are. When you get the big picture of the value of all this contrast, then you can look at the differences that they are believing or the differences that they are living. And in those differences, you can begin to feel appreciation for the broadness of the playground that it creates for all of you. But it is only when you garner control of your own focus that you will be able to appreciate them in their differences rather than fear them.